In this video, we're going to go over a few things that you should avoid if your business is an S corporation. So you're probably new at having a private practice, and that means you're probably new to all this world on the business side. You were probably recommended by a lawyer or a CPA or another tax professional to make that S-Corp switch. Well, I work a lot with nurse practitioners and with therapists, and I did want to go over a couple of things that I see happen that you should really be avoiding once you make that S-Corp election. We want to make sure that we are staying compliant, that we are doing things the right way to avoid any issues with the IRS in the future, especially having to pay extra in taxes or pay penalties because of the way things were done when you first started. The first thing we're going to talk about is how you pay yourself. As an S corporation, you want to pay yourself on a W-2. When you elect for the business to be treated as a corporation, you are essentially becoming an employee of your business. You're called a shareholder employee. Well, because you are an employee, you do need to put yourself on a W-2 salary. The question is, how much do you pay yourself? Some clients that come and work with me and they never paid themselves. They were either not told by their previous accountant to do so. They don't know, they might have done it themselves and they don't really know all the rules or regulations. So let me tell you a little bit about a reasonable compensation. This topic or this definition of a reasonable compensation is very loose by the IRS. They don't really have a definition, which is kind of crazy to me. They kind of leave it up to interpretation. There's a lot of gray area. However, a standard rule is to pay yourself what you would be paying somebody else, right? The market, whatever is the market value of, hiring a person that's doing your job. A great place to start is going to somewhere like salary.com or payscale.com, just to kind of get a general idea of what therapists or nurse practitioners are getting paid in your area. Now, I use a specialized tool that I pay for my clients that has actual data from, different industries. You don't need anything that fancy, as long as you have something to substantiate your decision. If you decided to pay yourself a $40,000 salary, you want to have some proof to give to the IRS of like, this is why I selected this was the salary in my area. This is why I decided to pay myself this. So just have some type of backup of why you decided that. Now, trust me, it's better to pay yourself something than not paying yourself at all. So what happens when you don't pay yourself at all? Usually what most, practitioners are going to do is take out money one way or the other from their business. Now, taking out money outside of payroll are called distributions. Whenever you let's say you have money in your business bank account, you need money, for your rent for your apartment or your home, and you take that money out of the business to pay your rent. That's considered a distribution. It's used for personal, it's to compensate you, but it's called a distribution rather than it being on payroll. When you do this and you take out distributions before paying yourself a salary, what happens is that the IRS could reclassify what your distribution. So if the IRS decides that out of the $80,000 that you took out, $60,000 should have been payroll, then they are going to reclass that $60,000 as wages, meaning that you are now going to have to pay taxes that you wouldn't otherwise. So make sure that that's not something that you're doing, and that you are selecting a reasonable compensation and justifying that compensation. Second, this is probably one of the most overlooked things. And guys, it's really, you just need to do it. And I know a lot of people that I speak with think that they are able to get to it, they'll get to it and then time flies by, you don't get to it. And then honestly, guys, you are amazing at what you do, but trust me, you guys are not bookkeepers. And I mean that with love and grace. But anybody that I work with typically has a lot of errors and missing deductions in their bookkeeping that it feels like you're doing it right, but you're actually not, and you don't know what you don't know. So with that in mind, Proper documentation is very important. The bookkeeping is very important. And if you're not doing the bookkeeping, and especially if you have an S corporation, that is a really big no-no. Like, you don't want to not have any type of record keeping or anything like that. An Excel spreadsheet is great if you're a sole proprietor, you're just getting started. Once you have an S corporation, or you elect to have an S corporation, you have much stricter reporting requirements. On your tax return, you're going to want to report your balance sheet, which keeps tracks of your assets, your liabilities, and your equity. And if you make over a certain amount, or you have assets that are valued at over a certain amount, then you have to report that. Now, you're not going to get that from an Excel spreadsheet. You're not going to get that, by just jotting down your expenses or just having your receipts in a folder. You're going to get that if you have proper accounting software. Now, as an S corporation, also, you have to remember that you are a professional and that you want to treat your business as a business. So make sure that you have some type of bookkeeping in place. I really recommend QuickBooks. You guys already know that if you watch my videos. So now tell me, are you doing these things? And if you are new and are thinking about switching to an S corporation, I really recommend learning the ins and outs, at least of the common things that you should know about S corporations. You want to make sure to follow all the regulations and that you're compliant with the status to avoid any issues with the IRS in the future. I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Jeanette Andrada, and I do help nurse practitioners and therapists in private practice pay the least amount in taxes using tax and accounting strategies. Now, if you are feeling like you're not sure about this S-Corp stuff, you want a little bit more guidance, feel free to reach out to me. There's a link in the description where you could schedule a free 15-minute strategy session. During that session, I'll ask you a few questions, get to know you a little bit, you get to know me, and then we get to decide if it's a good fit for us to work together. Now, if you're not ready to make any type of moves yet, then go also to my link, because I have a free resource library that you could access and get all these free resources for your private practice, such as like the common tax deductions and then a bookkeeping guide. So make sure not to forget to go in there and download one of these resources for your reference. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me get my content out there. If you have any recommendations for topics that you want me to talk about, just make sure to leave me a comment and I will be happy to review that and make a video.